Beautiful places too dangerous to visit. Some of the most beautiful places on Earth can kill you in a single mistake. Colossal cliffs rise above oceans of clouds. Narrow paths cling to mountainsides, and breathtaking landscapes stretch beyond the horizon like scenes from another world. Millions dream of reaching these places, but behind their beauty are deadly roads, unstable terrain, extreme weather, and dangers that leave no room for carelessness. Today, we journey into the most beautiful and most dangerous places on Earth, where paradise and disaster exist only one step apart. Agula do Diabo, Brazil. Agula do Diabo is called the Devil's Needle in the Brazilian forest, where rock, clouds, and height create a scene that is both beautiful and chilling. From far away, the rock peak appears like a sharp pillar, piercing straight into the sky, narrow, dark, and almost separate from the surrounding mountains and forest. That steep, upright shape is what makes this place dangerous, because climbers do not face a broad mountainside, but a rock body exposed to open space. The climbing route demands physical strength, rock climbing technique, rope handling, and the ability to handle heights. So, this is not a place for beginners. Mountain forest humidity, sudden rain, slippery rock, and high winds can make the surface change very quickly during the climb. The higher you go, the smaller the forest below becomes, while the open space around you grows wider, making each step feel like a direct confrontation with height. Faroe Islands Cliffs. The Faroe Islands cliffs lie on the edge between land and ocean, where quiet green meadows end in a straight drop into the North Atlantic. Some cliff edges are more than 1,000 feet high, so one step too close can turn the grey seascape below into a deadly fall. The archipelago has about 694 miles of coastline, much of it made of steep basalt cliffs, standing like a volcanic fortress shaped by waves over millions of years. The dark rock layers formed from ancient lava about 60 million years ago appear in stacked bands, while above them there is only green grass and seabirds. The danger is that the landscape looks very open and calm, but gusting wind, fog, cold rain, wet ground, and soft grassy edges can make a person lose caution very quickly. The Faroe Islands cliffs are beautiful in a cold, distant way. The more someone wants to step closer to look down, the more they understand that here, beauty and the abyss are only one footstep apart. Calavans, India. Do you dare to climb the narrow stone steps of Calavans when both sides open onto steep mountains, strong winds, and deep empty space below? From a distance, Calavans looks like a giant stone tooth rising out of the green forest. Sharp, narrow, and isolated like a rock mass set upright toward the sky. The route upward has a steep incline, with some sources describing it as about 60 degrees. making climbers control every step instead of simply moving by habit. The stone steps are cut directly into the mountainside, so every step places your foot on hard, steep rock exposed to the open drop. Many sections have no protective railings, making the danger no longer something imagined, but something right at the edge of the rock beside you. Three Gorges, Dragon Ridge, China. Imagine hiking along Three Gorges Dragon Ridge, with the wind blowing across the mountainside, a narrow trail under your feet, and in the distance, a river held tightly by the mountains. This hiking route is about 7.5 miles long, with a total climb of about 3,280 feet. So, hikers need to keep their stamina for many hours on terrain that keeps going up and down. The land here looks like a long, rocky spine stretched across the mountain because the trail follows high, narrow sections and curves through many layers of valleys. Its position on the ridge opens the view very wide, but it also makes the wind, the steep slopes, and the open space on both sides affect every step directly. When mist, rain, or strong wind appears, the mountains and clouds may look more beautiful, but the trail becomes slippery, visibility drops, and your walking rhythm becomes harder to control. The higher you go, the more you will see the river, mountains, and clouds open into many layers. But you also have to focus more, because that beauty lies right on a thin, wind-exposed mountain path. Gilong Castle, China. Gilong Castle can be called a fairy tale castle in the middle of a lake in Guizhou, where red roofs, pointed towers, and green mountains create a scene that is very hard to believe. What makes this place unusual is that a building with a European look stands among a lake, karst mountains, and the mountain landscape of China. The castle sits on a small island in the middle of the lake. So, when seen from far away, the base of the building almost disappears into the water and its reflection. That location makes Gilong Castle look separated from the mainland, as if it was not built on the shore, but rose up from the middle of the lake. The bridge connecting it to the shore adds a dramatic feeling to the landscape, because the whole castle looks like a small fortress with only one entrance. Dashstein, Sky Ladder, Austria. Dashstein Sky Ladder is a steel ladder suspended among the Austrian Alps, where climbers feel as if they are stepping straight up into the sky. It is on the Danakil via Faroe route, a climbing journey that requires a safety rope, steel clips, and calmness in front of exposed rock faces. The ladder is about 131 feet long, crossing the gap between two rock masses, making every step exposed to the mountain wind and the deep abyss. The scariest feeling is not the length of the ladder, but the moment when the body is suspended between steel, rock, and the icy open air. Danakil's sky ladder does not need to be very long to feel haunting, because just a few dozen steps on it are enough to make people remember forever the feeling of standing between the sky and the abyss. Skeleton Coast, Namibia. Stretching for more than 300 miles, the Skeleton Coast turns an entire shoreline into a frightening transition zone between dry sand, cold sea, and traces of things run aground. From above, this place looks like a long cut along the edge of Namibia, where the desert does not stop, but drops straight into the blue-gray Atlantic Ocean. Thick fog forms when the cold ocean current meets hot, dry air from the desert, making it easy for boats to lose their way right near the shore. Rusting shipwrecks scattered across the sand make the coast look like a maritime graveyard, where even metal is worn away by wind, salt, and time. The strongest experience is the feeling of standing between two forces that can both kill, where the sea cannot save people, and the land does not promise life either. Strokkur, Iceland. At Strokkur, beauty comes from instability. The ground looks normal, but underneath it, boiling water, pressure, and heat are waiting to burst upward. This geyser erupts about every 6 to 10 minutes. So, the quiet here is not stillness, but the stage when the earth is building up pressure. Before it erupts, the water surface swells into a clear blue dome, like a thin membrane being stretched tight from below by hot steam. When the pressure passes its limit, that mass of water bursts open and shoots into a white column about 66 to 131 feet high in the cold air. The sight is beautiful, but the entire column of water and white steam is extremely hot geothermal water, dangerous enough if visitors go beyond the safe distance. Strokkur is haunting because it shows that a cold, grey, and quiet surface can still hide beneath it, a source of energy strong enough to explode into the sky. Kiantang River, tidal bore, China. Imagine you are standing by the Kiantang River, hearing a roar grow louder from far away, then seeing a white wave rise up and rush straight upstream. In just a few minutes, the river surface that seemed normal can turn into a foaming wall of water, moving like a block of force attacking from the sea. In strong conditions, the tidal bore can be about 30 feet high and run up to about 25 miles per hour, enough to turn calm water into an impact force that is very hard to control. This happens because the mouth of the bay is shaped like a funnel, causing tidal energy to be compressed as seawater is pushed into the narrower river channel. People often compare it to the silver dragon or the black dragon because the long band of waves across the river looks like a water dragon rushing forward. The Kiantang River tidal bore is beautiful, but you should not stand near the water's edge because its speed, side waves, slippery embankments, whirlpools, and water force can sweep away anyone who is not alert. Kamanito del Rey, Spain. Imagine walking on Kamanito del Rey, with a rock wall close to your shoulder on one side and a deep, empty space on the other, making every step feel very real. The path is not on the ground, but pinned sideways into the cliff, so walkers always feel as if they are hanging between the vertical rock and the canyon opening below. Many sections of the walkway are more than 328 feet above the water. Enough that every time you look over the railing, the depth immediately affects your body. The old path was once only about 3 feet wide, made of concrete and a steel frame. So, when it fell into disrepair, it became one of the scariest routes in Europe. After several deadly accidents in the late 1990s and in 2000, the old route was closed for many years before being renovated to make it safer. Although it is now much better controlled, Kamanito del Rey still haunts the mind because its beauty lies right on the exposure, where the more majestic the scenery is, the more clearly the abyss appears beneath your feet. Mount Huashan, China. Would you dare to step the narrow paths of Mount Huashan with sheer cliffs under your feet and a deep, endless void below? From a distance, Huashan looks like a cluster of stone swords rising from the ground, where sharp peaks, grey cliffs, and white clouds create a scene that is both majestic and chilling. The highest peak reaches about 7,070 feet, high enough for low clouds, mountain winds, and the altitude to make climbers feel cut off from the land below. Huashan is famous for the plank walk, a section of wooden boards attached to the cliff face where visitors must use a safety harness and face the deep drop directly beneath their feet. Some stone stairways are so steep that climbers have to hold onto chains or railings, making the journey feel more like climbing a cliff than walking. When rain falls or mist covers the mountain, the rocks become slippery, visibility drops, and the narrow paths make Huashan beautiful in a tense way, where every step must overcome both the height and the fear. Mirante de Janella is known as Brazil's stone window, where nature opens a view straight toward the waterfall, the forest, and the deep canyon. What makes this place special is that the nearby rock formations create a natural frame, making the whole valley behind them look like a picture framed in real stone. To reach this viewpoint, you usually have to cover about 4 to 5 miles round trip over rough, steep, sun-exposed terrain. That journey is dangerous because the sun, dehydration, and fatigue can reduce your focus before you reach the higher rock sections. The closer you get to the viewpoint, the more the slippery rocks, steep edges, and drop below force you to control every step. The most powerful moment is when the landscape suddenly opens through the stone frame, so beautiful that it makes you want to move closer, but also deep enough to remind you that just one careless step can be very dangerous. Nickel mining site lies on the line between green energy and ecological harm, where the future of technology begins with a red scar on the forest. That orange-red color comes from iron-rich laterite soil exposed when the layer of trees, soil, and rock above it is cleared away to extract nickel ore near the surface. Open-pit mining changes the landscape very clearly because the hillsides are no longer continuous, but are cut into layers of earth, vehicle roads, and open pits. The impact of the mine does not stop at the mining fence, but because dust, mud, and dirty water can spread into the surrounding area. Nickel mining site reminds us that behind technologies called green, there are still costs that nature must pay. Mad Honey Cliffs, Nepal. Would you dare to hang from a rope ladder on a cliff in Nepal with a swarm of giant bees in front of you and a deep, endless drop below? From far away, the Mad Honey Cliffs look like living stone walls because large beehives cling thickly under the cliff edges, like golden patches hanging among the Himalayan mountains and forests. The bee species that makes this honey is Apis laboriosa, often described as the largest honeybee in the world. And it chooses high, hard-to-reach cliffs to build safe nests. As smoke rises from the foot of the cliff, the rope ladder begins to shake. The honey hunter hangs in mid-air and uses a long pole to cut off pieces of honeycomb while bees swarm thickly around the rock face. Many hives sit at a height of about 160 to 300 feet. So, honey gatherers are not just collecting a natural product, but stepping into a truly dangerous cliff climb. The sound of the bees echoes against the cliff. Stinging smoke clings to the eyes, and every shake of the ladder makes the scene both mesmerizing and breathtaking. Damnoen Saduak Canal, Thailand. Damnoen Saduak Canal is known as Thailand's floating street, where boats, fruit, and market sounds turn the water into a moving picture. The canal is about 20 miles long and was dug between 1866 and 1868 to connect important waterways, serving transportation, irrigation, and the movement of goods. What makes it special is that the market here is not centered around a square or streets, but is organized on the water, along the canal banks, and on small boats. As wooden boats slip closely past one another, you experience the market with many senses at once: engines, paddles, vendor calls, the smell of hot food, and steam rising into the humid air. Its appeal also creates real pressure because the heat, crowds, noise, boats rushing close together, and narrow space can turn the canal experience into a feeling of overload. This place is most beautiful when the chaos is just enough. Enough boats to show the rhythm of life on the water, but also tight enough for the canal surface to feel like a floating traffic junction. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. The Danakil Depression lies on the border between a living planet and a dead planet, where bright colors are born from salt, acid, hot gases, and volcanic rock. This is one of the hottest places on Earth by average yearly temperature, so the danger lasts almost without pause. The landscape here has white salt flats, yellow-green mineral lakes, red rocks, heat vapor, and cracked ground, all in one frame. The acid springs create dazzling yellow, green, orange, and white colors, making the beauty here both brilliant and poisonous. Some hot springs have recorded dead birds around them because of escaping toxic gases, showing the danger in Danakil is sometimes invisible. Standing in the middle of Danakil too, you will clearly see one truth. The more beautiful the landscape is, the more your body is reminded that this place is not meant for life. Lake Natron, Tanzania. At Lake Natron, deadly beauty feeds unusual life. Its harsh alkaline water keeps many species away, but flamingos still come there to breed. The lake water can exceed pH 12 and in some areas reach nearly 140 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a hot, salty, and alkaline environment that most living things find hard to endure. That very harshness becomes a natural barrier because many predators cannot easily reach the shallow waters and salt islands in the middle of the lake. About 2.5 million lesser flamingos depend on Lake Natron, turning a place that is almost toxic into a vital breeding ground for them. The red, pink, and orange colors on the lake surface come from carbonate salts, minerals, and salt-loving microorganisms that thrive as the water evaporates. Lake Natron is therefore frightening in a very strange way. It can harm the human body, but at the same time, it holds within itself one of Africa's most beautiful scenes of survival. Death Valley, United States. Death Valley is called America's Furnace, where white salt, burning rocks, and fierce sun create a harsh landscape that feels haunting. This is the hottest, driest, and lowest place in the United States National Park system. So, the heat does not come only from the sun, but is also trapped inside the desert basin. The air temperature once reached 134 degrees F on the 10th of July, 1913, making Death Valley one of the hottest places ever officially measured by humans on Earth. From a distance, the bright white salt flats, sun-scorched mountains, and sharp blue sky make this place look as beautiful as an ancient sea that has completely dried up. The greatest danger is that this beauty is very silent. No water that is easy to see, no clear shade, only heat, distance, and one small mistake that can be enough to turn the trip into survival. At Peton de la Fournaise, life rises right on a ground of destruction. Green forests, damp clouds, and the tropical sea surround flows of rock that were once hot lava. This is one of the most active volcanoes in the world, with an eruption on average about every 9 months. When the volcano wakes, basalt lava can flow thinly and spread quickly, turning the dark mountainside into bright red streams like living fire. The black, brown, and red layers of rock around the volcano are traces of past eruptions where the ground was once burned and then cooled into new landforms. The dangers here come from cracked ground, sharp lava rock, hot gases, ash, fog, and mountain weather that changes very fast. What makes Peton de la Fournaise frightening is the feeling that a land can turn green again after destruction, but still keep beneath it a source of fire that has not gone out. Hongmen Temple. Once a place for spiritual practice and worship opened along the shape of the mountain, Hongmen Temple today remains like a fragment of religious memory carved directly into the rock. What makes it special is that the temple is not separate from nature, but uses the rock face, deep caves, and mountain gullies themselves as the body of the worship space. The natural cave sections blend with traces of human carving in the stone, making this place feel like a structure that was both built and kept by the mountain. Its position clinging to the mountainside creates a sense of danger because the access path is narrow, steep, and easily slippery when rain or mist makes the rock damp. The landscape here is not overwhelming because of its size, but because of the feeling of being compressed between close, pressing stone, dark passageways, and a worship space set deep inside the cliff. Hongmen Temple is haunting because it shows that people once did not try to conquer the mountain, but only carved a small space in the rock to leave behind their faith.